progress.
Right.
You guys can log in on your accounts at home to look over the board packets. They're not tied to these machines.
I use just everything on email. So I just. Well,
How long's the winter coming out for?
Probably about April.
I was thinking about it too.
Yeah.
Let us make me feel too much better. Sorry, I asked.
We did about a month and a half, maybe. That might be a stretch in the fall, if the wind decides not to. Yeah.
How you doing, Janet?
Oh, good. Okay. Gotta check and make sure it was recording. I couldn't remember if it told me it was or not. It is. We're good.
Good. Good. Every time we say it, something. Nice noises. Oh, look at that person, always shows up. We love it. All right, we'll call this meeting of the December 8th. School board meeting open. At 6 o'clock on Monday. Start with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Janet.
Okay, Dan Jansen,
Here.
Scott Duffner.
Here.
Mark Herrick.
Here.
Preston Fivecoat.
Here.
Dwight Roth.
Here. Okay. Is there any changes to the published agenda?
No, just, one point of clarification, I just want to make sure you know that on item 6.2.1, down under new business, the, SIA grant, public comments is to be taken tonight, but also it's an action item. We need to vote for separate, and the word action is not listed. That's
Sorry, I will.
yeah, well, we talked
Correct.
about it and we didn't know, so I just wanted to make sure, nobody had a problem with that.
No,
Yeah.
I
And then
completely missed that.
if you go down to other action items, 7.1, same thing down there. You
Okay.
have to approve the officers. That's an action item, and you also have to approve that they are.
That one-
in the motion.
That one was posted, isn't it?
Yeah. So those, I think that's all I've done.
Yes, just for clarity on the agenda, what Janet and I did was to try to clean it up. And not have things in multiple spots. If there is something that we had to vote on, we just put the word action right there. we talked about it, so we can just facilitate that a little bit quicker, I think, so.
Okay.
So that is a change to the formatting. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, Jim, you good?
Mhm.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the agenda.
Yeah, we'll be accepted in
That is all in the
Oh, is that what we have
consent
consent?
agenda. Yeah, the addition of the action item
Okay,
is, yeah,
all right, that cleans it up.
yeah.
All right, public comment, anybody wish to speak? We've got a full house tonight. No? Okay. Consent agenda, is there anything to pull off of that consent agenda before we approve it? Oh. Yes. Monica, is she talking with everyone?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Good. Okay, with that, there's a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Yeah, I'll move the consent agenda as presented. I'll
Yeah.
second that.
Got a second, all in favor? 5-0. Excellent. So, board discussion, we have board goals update. We haven't worked on anything since the last meeting, to my knowledge. There's something. I've not reformatted that original document that we worked off of, so I'll get to that one eventually here. Anything from staff that you need from us around our board goals that I'm missing? Yeah. Somebody did any professional development, like, about any of them? Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
So 5-2 is committee reports. Just go down quickly. We didn't have any staff interviews. I don't believe. Scott, anything in the ag CTE area?
The only, I guess, follow up on their baking or the fundraiser, they've collected the hay and I don't know if it's been delivered. I'm guessing it has, but like 2.5 loads, I believe, or something like
Oh,
that. So, being shown to the community,
Okay.
much appreciated.
All right, budget. We're gonna talk about that tonight.
You guys were talking about. I joined the foundation.
Yep, your next foundation.
We had a foundation meeting, it was short, sweet, and to the point, which was nice. Continuing with the same scholarship program we ran in the past. We do have a good amount of funds currently, because golf tournament money has been earmarked for craft stuff for the future. But there's a nice chunk in there. We did talk about asking Troy had specified that money be earmarked for track. We talked about engaging Troy to see if we could spend some of it on a few other things, and we did get permission to move forward with replacing our gym flag with a large roll-up flag in the middle of the foundation fund. So we got $10,000 to be spent for purchase of flag and installation, and already working on that. And that was about it. The other one, kind of, I should go all through there. Missing anything?
No, the only other thing I had was just to make that motion later, which will come later, but other than that. Scholarship was spent some time, you mentioned that, not to make any changes in that, it's okay the way it was. And that was just about it. We talked about other potential things we might do with some of that money because we don't have anything large at this time for pressing. But that's some of the expenses you guys as a board are coming, it's gonna be significant, we don't have that amount of money, but we put a lot of, we talked about the small improvements, we didn't like it's but we also talked about moving the banners, the FFA banners, because remember those FFA banners can't put in, because not fireproof. We talked about that in the meeting, yeah, the fabric up there, and we talked about putting in the material, some of what we have in there already at the end. That is fireproof, so we can at least get enough of that and be at the awards.
The other thing, we didn't discuss it, but something that maybe we should look into for that is. That foundation has right up just over $100,000 right now. And I think our interest running out is only $75. So we might want to look at maybe we can have 3% anyways.
Yeah,
Another interest.
or CZ or something. But
Yeah,
that's a little bit. We don't
we might as well, at this point, it can be done pretty easily.
Good. Lot of stuff going on there. The capital plan, Mark, Dwight, any conversations about capital planning?
Yeah, we're, haven't met with Barry yet, maybe this week's supposed to be.
Okay. Yeah, Thanksgiving, we got in the money.
Yeah.
Plan, so. Good. Yeah, I'll follow up with that, see the roof deal. ESD, Scott, did they have anything going on?
Nothing in my knowledge.
And then I did reach out to Stacy for NLCSN, and I will report that here in a second, so. There's no other committee reports. Don't think I missed a meeting. The roof project status. I sent you guys that email that I received from my brother-in-law. In regards to his thoughts, he's the contractor at Hill Schools, and so he works with a lot of different subcontractors for the roofing stuff, and you didn't get a chance to read that. What you can glean out of it is that the circle of communication went through, and the CS contractor, who's a huge contractor, just flat said, goes, well, you should work with somebody like HMK, which is who we already are working with. So sounds like we're on the right track with some of the initial planning, but he did say work with that contract or that project manager to make sure you get multiple estimates before you start setting any kind of budget and thinking through that. So that was just his feedback, and I didn't really follow up because he passed away on Friday, so we don't have that contact, but luckily we got some information first. So it's been a rough week, month, but the holiday party, I did reach out to Stacy on that. January 8th was the date, and I confirmed it with her. It's going to be at the Boosters Hall, so we already made that plan there. Probably need a head count before Christmas break. Is that something that we can do, Janet?
Yep, I can do that.
This is Stacy. Stacy's going to kind of line up all the food.
Yeah, if we have, I guess maybe I can call Stacy and
Yeah.
then just see if there's a menu and I can send out invitations and stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're gonna handle all the food and the decorations and whatnot. And then Sam Hubbs was gonna do the refreshments for it. She's gonna come back from Reno to do that. So it was nice. $100, I think, is the cost of the building, and I forgot to ask Stacy on that, so I'll figure out how we can do that rental deal. But other than that, I didn't know any specifics. You guys have anything else to add to that? Want to do a gift thing, exchange or something like that? You always have a bunch of junk that you don't want to have for Christmas, right? They're trying to offload it. But
And after Christmas, why not love it?
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So that's something, Janet, I'll kind of, you pitch that to a couple of teachers and see.
I'll see what they say. Yeah, okay.
What's that? Yeah. Laura?
Yes.
Did you do a white elephant gift exchange January 8th?
Yes.
You?
And after Christmas, white elephant,
Okay. Get rid of all that stuff.
I'd be up for it.
Anybody else? Yeah. So I can throw that on there. It'll be easy. I can think of some stuff already. Perfect. So, anything else you need from me for planning or?
I think if I come up against anything, I'll probably email you.
Yeah, email Stacy and I both, and
Okay,
she's kind of taking the lead on.
yeah, I might try her first.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Okay.
probably.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
5.3 district policy review. So we had the first reading that we approved for AE, which I believe was district goals. And BC, which eludes me for a second. But this would be the second reading and adoption. If anybody had any changes after thinking about those. Yeah,
And board organization. Stuff, so.
yeah,
that was all pretty-
that was straightforward, I think, yeah.
I think I'm gonna, I think you guys attempted to approve it after one reading last meeting, and I think giving everybody a month to really think about it is
Yeah.
probably a good,
Well,
Practice.
reading the policy stuff this
Yeah.
time around, it says we do need to.
Do it twice,
reading
yep.
For even for re-adoption, so we can re-adopt this time.
Okay.
And so I would need a motion for
second reading and adoption.
second reading and re-adoption of those two policies.
Make a motion to, or for the second reading of policies AE and BC/BCA. For the second reading and adoption.
I'll second.
Okay. Move the second. All those in favor? Perfect. And then the heading on those would reflect that they were re-adopted on this day, right?
Read.
Have some. Good. Okay. Be the first reading for policy BFC, which is policy development and adoption of revised policy. Anything in either of those? On policy development BF, I would kind of like to run that by Elliot, our lawyer. But that doesn't necessarily mean I wouldn't adopt it for the first reading, just gives me a month to get
Mhm.
some feedback on that,
Yeah.
so.
So I don't know if we can seek legal advice, so
Mhm.
I think so.
And actually, both of those have to do with policies. I think.
Yeah, the second one I didn't have any issue,
Mhm.
that's just the format of how we do the readings on it, so.
Yes, which part of the BF were you concerned about?
I don't know, I didn't have time to really digest it and think about it, but. You know how we struggled early on with the adoption, the bulk adoption of the policies and just. There were some that we pulled out that we had some questions and Gail would send back to OSBA or whoever for the second opinion. This doesn't reference OSBA at all in here. Which that's fine, they're just giving us guidance for the policy, but. Yeah, I don't know, I'm trying to wrap my head around now, how, what's missing, this seems like something missing, maybe it's.
Yeah, should we accept first reading and we'll reach out to earlier than that?
Yes. Yeah, is there a motion to accept that first reading?
Yeah, I'll move that we accept first reading of policy VFC.
Second though.
Yeah, Scott second. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? Perfect, 5-0. Thank you much. You on a new business. 6.1, Gail?
Yeah, just, you have a copy of my resignation that I submitted on November 25th, but it's been in Janet's hands since then. And now it's here for you to read and approve.
We all got kids to look at. Yeah,
It's short and sweet.
Yeah.
all right. Is there a motion to accept the resignation?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the resignation and see if anything.
For a second,
I'll second that.
and moved and second, any discussion?
Do you want the effective date to read in the minutes?
June 30th, 2026. That was my other thing, because it's very specific, which I appreciate about the date stuff, and below that it says upon our resignation, we fully accountable for all duties performed as part of the 25-26 contract. Does that make it seem like? I don't know what the usual pay period is.
That's
That is,
it.
that's it. That's the end of this, of the administrator calendar year.
All right,
Yep.
if that all checks out, then.
But I would think that's being minutes that. The resignation is June 30th, so. I mean. I think we gotta be clear on that.
Yeah.
No one-
Okay, I didn't hear that.
So Dwight would like to specify that the resignation is for June 30th, not today's
Yes.
date.
And that's why I spoke up too. I said, is there an effective date on it?
If we just have that in a minute, but it's.
There's no confusion. Yeah, I had, probably another time to say something better, but I would like to say, appreciate all the time you spent. It's been, our continuing to serve here. Yeah, appreciate it.
Who was the second on that?
Scott.
Okay.
All those in favor? 5-0. Motion. Okay. 6.2, SIA grant presentation.
It sounded a lot more complicated than it is, but it is that time of year with our SIA grant that I need to. I've already signed it, I've already uploaded it, but you as board have not approved it, the grant agreement, and. In part of doing this, remember, you have to vote to approve it, we have to put it up for public comment, it has to be listed in the minutes with minute types that you get off the public comments, so anyone here in the audience that wants to make a comment, it's welcome to do so. And that, and then you know that once that is all done and I get the draft minutes, then it all gets posted to a certain spot on the website. And I have to tell OBE where I'm posting it. There's basically like 3 parts to this. The grant agreement itself, I sent you because it was long, but I thought, no, we need to see what we're signing here. It has the amount on about the 34th page, in that second page, actually. And it's the same amount as you've been getting roughly. The only thing that they're doing now is they're saving a little bit out and giving it at the very end. So that we have some, so that Monica has some money with which we can pay bills that come in a little bit later after the first year, which is fine. It gets us up to like through September pay stuff rather than first of July. So that's why that's a little different. Other than that, I don't have anything to say about the money about it. You? No, I'm okay with it. Yeah. Yeah, so the total amount in the grant agreement was $715,869.78, and that is for the item. So nothing out of the ordinary, nothing different to point out other than I need you to vote for it. Comments, and then I'll post it in the documents.
Okay, everybody got a chance to scan through it at least?
Yep.
Pretty similar to what we had before, so.
Yes.
So we can move on to public comment then.
Okay.
Is there any public comment on the SIA grant? For the school district by any? Monica, you wanted more money?
I wanted more money.
And I know.
She wanted 715, thank you.
I would go with that.
Yeah.
We can cross that out, change it over the contract, see what they say. Yeah, okay. No other comments? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to accept? Or would be motion to sign the agreement or accept the agreement? How would you like to word that?
You just need to approve the grant agreement.
Approve the
Approve the
grant
grant.
Approve the
agreement.
grant agreement.
Okay.
As presented, yeah.
You,
I'll move the way to prove the grant agreement. I'm in.
okay? Second. And Preston. Second, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? 5-0, Janet. Thank you much. 6.3, review of local school wellness policy, EFA.
Okay, that one's also very simple. That was one of the corrective actions that we had when Des had her audit at her food service program. I was here for about 24 hours, part of the time on Monday, part of the time on the next day. We actually had a pre-interview and a post-interview with him. Then he was going to send his final report, which I believe he did, but he sent us a preliminary one as well. And there were basically 3 findings. We had an awesome review of our kitchen. He thought we have an amazing kitchen staff and that they're doing a great job with our food services program. He liked the food offerings, liked everything about it. He had 3 little tiny things, in my opinion, they're little tiny. 2 of them were basically Des's responsibility. She had to make sure that she documented professional development taken by her employees and her subs. It's not just the employees have to pay it, people that sub in there have to take it. And whether they're on staff, not on staff, everybody has to take it, each has to have documentation of it. So that was one thing, she'll do that. She also had to increase the food option from 1 grain to 2, which was at breakfast, which was as simple as add a cheese food. That's what she did. It's just one grain of fiber, not fiber, but protein, I think, for grain, 1 too short. At 1 ounce or whatever, however you make that. And then the other one that was kind of fell into my area was the local wellness policy, EFA, which this is a standing policy we have all the time. And we have looked at it before. The only thing that we don't have proof that we're doing is offering it up to the public, to the community to involve themselves, participate, have a say in what that policy states. So we talked about ways we could do that. The guy was totally okay with what we suggested. We told him that we would offer a survey at Learning Fair this May 6th till May. He's fine with that because all we have to do is just offer them the opportunity to have input. So by putting out a survey, as we get most of our people here, our parents, that would be far better than sending it home, putting it on the website, anything like that. They're here. It's a pretty good turnout that month. So we will have that on site. As we'll have it, if they want to fill it out, they can, they don't have to. They have anything to say about that policy. So, and then we will take a look at what responses we gather and include them in the policy if it fits, if it's something that, yes, oh yeah, that we need to change that, that's a good idea, that would be helpful, whatever, we'll do that. And then you guys will need to review that policy again at that time and accept it because you voted for policies, and that would be that. So those are the only three things that we had to,
That'll be after May.
yes, after May 6th.
June meeting.
Yep, so at the June meeting, so I want you to, well, and actually it could be the May meeting, because on May meeting doesn't come until the week after this. So for, it can be on the ball, other than that, it will be June, so I'd like to get it done in May. But that's it, and then the only reason I'm bringing it up tonight is just to publicly announce that, yes, we will be doing that. And also, if anybody else has any public comment they want to make, you can submit that to me ahead of time. Anybody in the audience or any of you guys, yeah, want to make good accept them anytime. But we will just have a short survey so we can ask the same questions there.
And this complies, that'd be compliant for everything that's yellow there on page 2. So it's highlighted.
Oh, yes, yes, because that is our EFA policy, and I highlighted that because I wanted you to see exactly what we, because that's where it said community outreach, involving the community in reviewing that being the policy, that's what we need to do. Is that right there, that's highlighted yellow. I highlighted the part that says up above, the district will publish a triennial progress report on the website. I've already done that. So we don't need to do that. It's just this EFA. And so we'll be constructing a couple of questions where we feel like we could gain some important information from parents and including that in our policy if it fits. So we will be revisiting this in the spring.
Maybe.
Okay, back.
That late.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just concerned by as much stuff that's in here. I'm like, holy smokes, are we even close to checking all these boxes off, especially the principles laid out here is a bunch of stuff that specifically you're supposed to do. And like, I don't know what all it takes to do all that stuff.
well, and we may, as we look at it as well and take public input, we may take some of that stuff out if we can. I already cut that about in half because it was like a menu of suggestions. And you didn't have to do everything, but you know, you can do this, maybe this, and I whacked all that stuff out because it was very repetitive. Stuff that you don't even have the resources here to do in a school of our size. So I already made it, it was just done in 2023, was the last time we looked at this. It's not been that long ago.
Right.
And I changed it then, actually did it twice. We hit this one a lot, once in 2022 and twice in 23. But we might, as we take input from parents, we might decide there are other things that we can change as well. And some of it's just suggestions, we don't have to do everything. That's,
Yes, it's just like on page 3 there said, promote nutrition education in the schools, the principal is responsible for ensuring that. I was just surprised that it delineated all these specific tasks that way, because usually the policy is pretty vague on just getting it done, so.
yeah,
That being like making sure that we're meeting our minutes and PE and making sure we.
Curriculum-based stuff. Okay,
and also I think administration working with food service, because they do a lot of it, but just the coordination between them two, making sure that it gets done. So,
well, it'd be interesting, I think next week, the feds are gonna announce some big changes to this stuff. So, after
yeah.
the Minnesota thing, so it'll be interesting to see if that's.
Yeah, we got number 7 there, page 3, and probably a couple of days back,
Yeah.
January, monthly, weekly school.
Yeah, it's pretty specific, some stuff, it's just.
I like the one safe route.
Oh, no.
There's only one route. It's very safe. Not as safe as, it's a medical officer.
Break walkway.
Dogs out there, I guess.
Crosswalks.
Okay.
Even if you look at intramural sports, well, we don't even really have enough to do that.
Gonna get.
Yeah, I know. So some of this stuff just doesn't work for us, but
Also, have they stated use of alternates to food in your boards in the classroom? Are we using food in your board in the classroom?
not always, at least, I don't consider it junk food necessarily, like high school, for example, they have their pizza parties for kids that get on honor roll and all that, but it's pizza, it's lunch, it's the same thing they would serve in the high school.
Okay.
You know, things like that.
Well, again, it's a lot of stuff I just find it ironic, because there's no way to enforce that.
There's not.
anyhow. So,
No.
hopefully we have it written down somewhere, I guess, for good to go. Is there any public comment about this document? Have you all got a chance to read this? Could have made copies for you. Compel it.
We'll have it at the learning fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, here's a.
it's on the website, of course. It's EFA is the policy, if you're curious. Okay,
It's in this month's public packet too, so.
6.32, then corrective steps. You mentioned those, we don't have to vote on that or nothing,
Nope.
right? So
Nope.
just in May, we'll bring this back up because it's ready to look at that
Mhm.
survey. If not, we will postpone it till June.
Yes.
Easy enough. 6.4 is policy review. I asked Janet to put this on the agenda just because with the resignation of our superintendent, we need to go through that process of hiring a new one. And so I wanted our policies to be pulled up. So you got a chance to read those. If there's any questions about that, just so that we make sure that we follow that policy, we go down the road of the hiring process. So you have any questions about any of those? There's two of them we put in there. It's the duties, the super qualifications and duties, and then recruitment and appointment for the superintendent. So, no action needs to be done on that. That's just for your review of that. The next item is 6.5. Executive search proposals. So from what I know about previous superintendent searches, and that's from Dwight, I believe the picture of Grant or Scott, somebody, been a couple of weeks now. It was just done through a posting and then applicants applied. There are these executive search services out there. Two of which that I reached out to when Scott and I was at the OSBA conference. One is the proposal from OSBA. They sent that to us. Both of these are pay to play, so it's not free just because you're an OSBA member. That's a above service. And then Human Capital was the other. Human Capital Enterprises was the other proposal. The question that I wanted to pose here is there any interest in pursuing a headhunting agency basically to help us in this process? And if so, is one of these two contractors something you'd wish to pursue? And just talking with Hank Harris, who's the guy in charge of the Human Capital Enterprises. If we selected them, they would like to get going right away for a special meeting in January to set up parameters. And they do, if you read that proposal, they do a very thorough thing where they interview not only every board member, administration person, but also teachers and staff, and before they even go out for a search. So it's a pretty extensive process there. Feedback from Vince Adams from OSBA was pretty general. I mean, this application or this packet's pretty much just their boilerplate packet. They changed the front cover for us, but it's pretty much what they do with their services. So open discussion for this. They try to get a proposal. You want to go this route or a different route?
Yeah, I think we do. usual.
I agree, yeah. Obviously, the, probably important thing for us to do, for, which is make sure, superintendent does a good job. Posting and, I feel like that's, probably putting forth our best foot to do that. Or do we have time as we did over to
Right.
this kind of, effectively, so. Yeah, I think we go with service. I go have student packets. The cost of human capital was higher, but their search seemed to be more thorough. And for the cost difference, I think if you find the right candidate for the cost difference, it's none of stuff. So first, I have a little bit of sick shot. If you find somebody that fits really well.
But I just put that cost in.
About 18,000 for their proposal, I think. The OSBA was like almost half that, I think.
That was kind of a base.
That was the base.
That was a bit, yeah, they do more add-on stuff where this is not.
Yeah, the OSBA starts at
Yeah.
like 8,000 and then moves up for the human capital one goes. That was fairly inclusive. There's a few things you could add on to it, but I didn't think we probably. So. Been a couple days, but I thought that's something more like a closer long.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. When you get into the contract, they would help develop that contract piece, and that's some additional stuff, as well as, bringing in the people for interviews, but for all that too. So there's some additional cost with both, no doubt. And just talking with Hank Harris on the phone a little bit, because I had to have a meeting with him, and then Steve Webb. Steve Webb is the guy, and his bio is in this paperwork. He would be the guy that would kind of be our person that we would work with directly. Whereas the OSBA one would be more just kind of by committee. They've got about 3 people that work with them. So. A little different approach. But Hank Harris was really upfront. He says, even before we could do a proposal, he said, I just want to know this. He said that we are not the cheapest, we are the best. And I said, well, I don't really want cheap. I don't want, this is a big decision for $150,000 contract. You want to make sure we get it right. So he's pretty proud of the business that they've developed. Doc, any questions, comments?
No, I agree that definitely need to pursue one of those, and even though that it's more expensive on the human capital, I think that's well the better route. From what I would be.
Okay.
What I'm saying, but I think that. That was the. Yeah, I don't.
Human capital.
Yeah. I more thorough. More. Person, I guess. There we go.
I like the fact that there's a guarantee from the beginning. It's more solid guarantee than OSBA. So if they don't find somebody, they're gonna help us in that position. And it's 18 months. So if they hire a new superintendent and it doesn't work out, then they're gonna help us again for free. They would do the process over again, which we don't want to do that.
And that they're not just putting an application up in there. But that's one too.
Yeah. Okay. There a motion. Move forward.
Yeah, I made that we engage human capital for our superintendent search.
I'll second that.
Second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? By vote, Janet. Okay, I will reach out to Mr. Harris and And so that will lead us to another item that I will put on the next meeting, a future agenda here, so we'll get to that. So. All right, other action items. We have to approve NLEF officers 25-26
Yes, Janet, did you send, did you guys have a list of those?
and check centers.
No,
No.
I didn't have them.
I
don't think I have a
But I'll tell them who they are. It was, yeah, president was Clayton Sharp, these are officers for 25-26. President's Clayton Sharp, basically the same as what we had. Vice President Treasurer, Josie Tobiasen. Secretary, myself. We also added Aaron Flack as board member. And we added Preston as your board representative on the foundation board. And we removed Mr. Missile, because he was still on there. We only meet once or twice a year, so this obviously is a little bit behind. So all of those officers, current officers, Clayton Sharp, Josie, myself, Aaron Flack, Aaron's already on there. And Preston, all of us who serve on the board will be check signers. And that's just so that we can catch, because this is Washington federal where you do our stuff. I know. It's inconvenient, I'll just put it that way. So we do that because it kind of works for us. So I just need you to approve them as officers for the 25-26 year and also as check signers.
With,
And if you don't want to be on as the board member as a check signer, you don't have to leave that. If we've had it before, it's been a while since we've had a person on there, but.
I was just gonna say with your resignation now, replacing you as secretary is something you should take up in that.
It's for the 2025-26 school year,
Yeah, because.
which ends June 30th.
It's for this year, so when I'm done,
Right.
then yes, you'll have to find some new ones.
All right.
Mhm.
I'm good.
Well, I thought
I
about
should
that.
probably abstain because I'm part of this, so.
Well, it's a legit question because I wondered myself and I thought, but it's still for this year and
So is this something we normally do earlier in the year then?
no,
Just doesn't
no.
matter.
Our last meeting was last December.
Oh,
So
okay.
we were going to meet in the spring. Here's what happened. We were going to meet in the spring. We should meet in about October and April. Well, but we got the scholarship thing going. So we were going to meet in December to do that. We're going to meet again in May to approve it. And I had one applicant. So we just said yes. And didn't have a meeting for that. So with everybody getting together.
I was just curious.
So this year we probably, hopefully, we'll have another meeting in the spring. And we'll do that. So at that time, if you have somebody else hired and you want to go to replace me at that time, you can do that. I wouldn't consider most of that. But we don't have anybody to put in there now.
Right.
So,
So is there a motion to accept those officers as check signers?
I'll make a motion to accept the officers for the North Lake Education Foundation of the 25-26 school year. Also to be check signers.
Okay.
Okay, second, all those in favor? 4, Janet? One
One
abstention.
abstain, yeah, okay.
Yeah. What's that? Oh, yeah. So you got a link to the ballot. There's only one person running, Steve, is it Lowell? I believe, for the director position, for the Southeast Region Director position. And then nobody was running for the policy committee, Chuck. And so we get one vote for that, and I was gonna fill that out and do it, but we need to make sure that it's voted on before I vote on that. So you'd be giving me permission to vote, correct? You know, if we're not doing it right.
Yeah.
If he said board. So you'd be giving me permission to cast the ballot for Steve, or not. Or I can write Scott's name. Is there a motion?
There's no other option, so it's not.
mhm.
We can just abstain.
Yeah, you can vote to abstain.
Motion, I will just ignore the vote.
Personally, I would just abstain because I didn't know anything about the guy.
Yeah, you have to wrangle them out of the weeds. They've worked hard to get that one person and they still don't have the other, so. Okay. There, motion one way or the other, or? Go silent, I guess, that's the motion.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
do we have to, I don't know if we have to make a motion to abstain or not, or if it's just safer to do one to,
There's no second or motion, then there's nothing.
nothing? Okay,
Yes,
It's never happened for me.
okay,
dies due to lack of interest.
okay.
Okay. Number 8, reports and information, VPAD. Thanks for staying
Yeah.
this long.
Yeah, we're in winter sports, so they're up and running, and with the basketball tournament this last weekend, they were at Arlington, so girls went 1-1, boys went 0-2, but. And then we had a wrestling tournament this past weekend at Harrisburg. So we got. I think 6 boys out for wrestling, 5 girls, so 4 girls now, so. And then as far as the boys basketball team, I think they have 10 boys, and then the girls, I think they're 11, so. So yeah, small school for small teams, but yeah, they're going, so, but anyway. So yeah, heard about some of the upgrade with the flag, that's gonna be pretty exciting, get a flag up there in the middle of the gym. So you know, that's awesome, and I don't have a timeline on it, but I'm hoping, I asked if there's any way that we can get here by Chris's break, he said he'll be stretching it, but he says he'll work on it, so yeah, that should be pretty nice when that's up, so we're gonna mount it basically right center court, right on that main beam. And it's gonna be a vertical flag, it's an 18 by 10. On the top of it's gonna have a couple banners, it's gonna say home of the Cowboys or North Lake or something that's got our logo on it, and it's gonna be pretty nice when it's all done, so. And then I had put a message into Daktronics just to see what we can look at as far as the gym, see what the costs are as far as getting a scoreboard in there, actually 2 of them, because the one eventually we want need one on both sides. And then we would have to get the shot clocks, the Daktronics shot clocks that coincide with those, which is eventually what we would do. So I'm still working on getting quotes on that. And then one of the kind of the big items that I sent out a survey to fall coaches and fall athletes and parents, and asking about upgrades that they want to see happen in school, and that's just all coming probably from the football program, but they definitely mentioned lights on the field, and so I just was kind of looking into different costs of portable lights. Obviously we don't have, it'd be hard to raise the funds to get the stationary lights, but those portable lights, it's like made a call actually today to United Rentals. It was actually last week that he got back to me today, and used lights, those used towers, light towers with the actual generators come on the wheels, and so they're 22 foot tall, and 6 of them, he said he could with delivery, and getting their warranty, if they want their warranty and their service package, that they can come out and service them, which would be nice. It would be around 20,000. So I was like, well, that's something we'd have to try to go out and fundraise and businesses and see what we can, that was something that was a high need here, but it seems like, I don't know what you guys think about that. I just wanted to present it. It's probably something in the past, maybe it definitely help out as far as scheduling football, track events. We could do some twilight type stuff, which would be pretty cool. And being at the portable, we can, they're on wheels, and so we cruising around or whatever, we can do stuff out. We can do like I was talking to Chris Herman about it, and said we can even do like a big dance outside at night dance or something like that with lights. So it's just, there's options with those portables. I coached a team that played under those at Junction, when we were at Junction City, and they're actually look pretty good. You know, and these are LEDs, these are the nice bright LED ones, so they don't require a lot of, so it's fuel to fill those things, but it's diesel fuel, but they said it, you know, energy, it saves energy and stuff, so. I guess it's just it was just something I kind of wanted to see, just get a price and see where we're at with that, if that's something that I need to try to pursue, you know, towards behind that and see if we can get businesses, some fundraising to. That's your thoughts.
That's what do you think you cost to rent for them?
Rent them for each
Yeah.
event, yeah.
Just for one game.
Because you can rent them too, can rent them and then, you know, wherever you, I'd have to look into that, see what the cost of it.
I mean, it might get some more, just be like, oh, yeah, we need those.
Yeah,
Oh,
just to rent them every time we need them.
Yeah, or at least once, yeah.
Just
Do it
do
once,
once,
see
yeah.
how it goes.
Yes,
Make
oh,
sure-
just to, yeah, just.
Make sure we like them, get fan input.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I think they, I get them.
Just don't pick a really cold night.
Yeah.
So that's been, we actually had like 20 years ago, we had free lights and it was turned down at the time, just disappointing, but the comment at the time was basically, no, sun goes down, it's cold. We like our 1 o'clock games. Just with the sunshine.
We'll say this.
But-
Still a couple.
But we don't get,
That would be-
we probably don't get as many fans because it's used a lot of times Friday afternoon, people, yeah. So. Yeah, it'd be great for those September games.
Yeah, or
Those October games.
bundle up.
How, on that note, the struggle of getting officials.
So I talked to I made a call to Renstrom. And he says that you guys, you know, get your schedules in, there's obviously a, you know, he said, but I don't choose 5A, 6As over 1As. That's what he told me. He says it, you know, will be, you know, there might be times where we don't have any officials on a Friday night and might ask you to go to a Thursday night. Which,
But the lights give you more options for time slots.
it does, it gives more options, because the problem with having the Friday afternoons is those referees work. And so that's why Saturdays is about the only time we can have games.
Or their feedbacks about the game in town.
Yeah, but he says Fridays are probably a better. He said he doesn't, and there's gonna be times when they're gonna be booked. It depends on what weekends, Fridays. or whatever. He says he doesn't give preference over. That's what he says. The 5 days, 6 days, they're gonna get the officials before the 1A, so. But anyway,
I mean, if it could be fundraised, I'd say go for it. I don't know if we go.
yeah, we don't have a budget, so obviously it's gonna be something that would have to be fundraised, but before I put a lot of work into it. It would
Look at
have,
it fundraise through the foundation. Because
what's that?
I said, look at it fundraise through the foundation. Because any local revenue that we get, that goes to every state's good fund, so.
Yeah.
Just-
Through the Nashville Foundation, or the.
Get to foundation.
No, honestly, like you mentioned, track, that might fit right into the foundation goals or for
Yeah.
another supply, so.
Track and lights and all.
Well, that's the thing, is you can move, because we're gonna need them, you know, right now the football field is 43. You know, right, so obviously, so it's track event, we would need to move them out, You know, he'd sound like 6 of them is normal, 6 or 8. On each side, on the side, the football field should light it up, but that's obviously something that I have to check out and sure there is plenty of.
How loud are they? Because I know I've seen them on construction sites.
I've seen, you know, they're not too bad. I mean, they're, when I remember when I was at Junction City, I didn't even really know that they were even going, you know, so.
They usually have one up at Cascade Lakes where Laura and I like to spend our all night once a year, in the middle of the forest. And yeah, You notice it when they first turn it on, but pretty quick, you kind of forget it's there. There's also the DJ, something like that.
The light show screen.
Yeah.
Blaring.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're curious, you could come volunteer at Checkpoint 18 for Cascade Lakes Relay and learn all about the lights.
I really thought they were gonna be a lot more than that. I was actually surprised. I thought they were gonna be more of $4,000 or $5,000 a piece.
Yeah.
And they were only about 2,300 a piece, so. it's nice.
What do you need from us beyond just information?
Yeah, just I wanted to make sure that it was something, if I go to start pursuing this and, you know, I've got backing on it. This is something that, you know, I need to be for and, or I put a lot of time and energy in.
I like Dwight's idea. I think it might be neat to,
Right.
when you're scheduling next year, pick a game that's maybe early in the year. You're gonna have and rent some, and we'll try to really advertise it around town and. You know, North Lake's first ever night game and see what kind of crowd it draws and see how it goes, and we find out, you know. Would this make a difference for us?
Do that.
I also
Every
wanna-
one of those generators, just put a sign that says sponsored meeting.
Yeah. So yeah, we put sponsors on it.
Point of view I'd like to bring up is storage and rodents. For if we were to purchase them, if we were to have 6 or 8, where would those be stored at? And then where would they be, that they would be away from our pack rats and rabbits that get into everything? Because there's a lot of electronics in that really tight area for the diesel generators.
We'd almost want to probably buy a container just to put the lights in.
Probably.
They break down, I don't know, I mean, they look like they're only about 10 feet high. Stretch out to 22 feet, but.
Yeah, they fit in, but I don't know on
Yeah.
how long the trailer is or if the tongues are detachable on those ones, I don't know. But those might not fit inside of the container, to be honest.
Yeah, there's not more than a couple of them.
Good.
This place,
Bus board. That's right.
We'll get some pallet racking and. stuff.
Yeah. I've already used up half my walls.
Okay.
All right, anything else there,
That's pretty much all I had.
Cameron?
Miss Ann and her group have invited our K-6 students again to a special performance of the Nutcracker on December 16th, on Silver Lake School. So they actually will perform on the 12th and 13th. So after they've done their 2 public performances, we'll go, I think that following week. We went last year because especially the elementary kids had a really good time with that. Miss House and Miss Thompson for Thanksgiving did a pretty cool project, and students made their own Mylar balloons using tinfoil and maybe then laminated, yeah, so pretty cool. Love. Rest of that off. Elementary basketball started the week of Thanksgiving. They had about 23 kids. Elementary wrestling still going strong. They got about 20-25 kids. A few of them are starting to hit some tournaments and stuff. So a lot of good things for younger kids that are getting involved. That's always good to see. Our biology 222 students that are taking that from OIT. And that's not just your 100-level biology, that's the prerequisite for any medical field. They went and visited OIT again for their second time on November 21st for lab day, and they're taking their semester finals on the 15th. They're looking to pass the four students taking that with A's and B's, unless they really tank the final. But they both, a couple of them have made comments about the behavior and language of some students from the other schools. That they weren't too impressed with that, and so we've gotten good reviews by both the preparation of our students and their behaviors. I'm gonna point that out. October 29th, the junior sophomores took the PSAT, and seniors and interested juniors took the SATs. We got those scores back and we had a couple, multiple students scored, real well on both the PSAT and the SAT. And on the SAT, we had a couple that were pushing 1,300 absences. So that was pretty nice. December 3rd, the juniors and seniors took the ASVAB tests. And there are sophomores and in the interest of junior and seniors, and we'll get those back in a month. There was some delays with the government shutdowns. They didn't send them out for a while, so we had to reschedule that 2 or 3 times. Friday, we had our certified PD day. Had a lot of different things going on. The elementary was working on early literacy grants. Kind of really focusing on data and how to improve our performance using data and streamline our system so it's more functional. High school staff was doing some more work with culture, things we could do to kind of energize the students, get more staff involved. Starting to look at social studies adoption this year, so we had a couple teachers were in a meeting with one of the approved social studies vendors as well. We've got another meeting this week. That's about it.
Bumble will start in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it gives another probably 40, 50 kids.
We're getting a lot of use out of our gyms right now.
We'll wear them out so we can get new ones, right? Good. Superintendent's report.
Okay, I don't really, I had the PD update too, but since Cameron talked about that, I won't add to that. That we did Friday. The only other thing that we need to discuss just briefly is the financial budget outlook. I was on a meeting on December 3rd, and or at least Costa gave an update. They were talking as if we were going to have to make mid-year cuts this year regarding the budget. Right now, it doesn't look like that. However, as you know, I had already given instructions for everybody a couple of months ago to just not spend money unless you absolutely have to. We're not attending professional development out of town where it incurs a cost. We can help it. And the rent, I'm allowing people to go to rent stuff because they pay for it. So it doesn't cost us anything. So we're just trying to all be very frugal. I don't think that's going to hurt us at all, especially given the look at our financial report that Monica submitted. We still need to do everything we can to end on a positive balance as much as we can this year. What it looks like is for 26, 27, the next year, that's when they're going to expect some budget cuts to kick in. And then also they predict, this is the first time I heard this just the other day, that they're predicting this budget kind of downturn to go completely through 2031. So it's not going to end in a year. They're saying, who knows how that will turn out? That's just the first word I got about that. But as we look towards big expenses, long-term, projects, things like that, it's not bad to at least keep that information in mind. No, it may not go that way, but it might. So, COSA, right at this point in time, is lobbying the governor very hard to fill the K-12 deficit with the Education Stability Fund. There's more than enough money in there to do that. K-12 poll, if you want to call it that, is $180 million. Then there's $1.261 billion sitting in the Education Stability Fund. They've tapped it 9 times already for this very purpose. So the question is, why not now? We could completely cover that. It only takes what, 7 of it or something to. And it's at its constitutional max right now. They can't even put any more money into it until they use some of it. So there was that whole discussion. Morgan Allen at this point in time is fairly confident that this will happen, but we don't know for sure because one of the concerns is maybe their reluctance to use it now is because we're expecting more of a downturn coming up. So they may not want to tap it just yet. Closest line of thinking is we'll use it now so we can at least fill our hole now, and that'll give us more time to figure out what we're doing in the short term or the long term rather than have to start cutting people and programs now. So it's just a different way of thinking.
So that's kind of where the two sides of the camp are coming from on that. Don't know where that's gonna go. The next revenue forecast is from February 4th, which is the one that the state will use for their budgeting purposes. That's what it kind of said, okay, this is the last one we're getting. We have to start, building the budget. This is these are the figures we're gonna use. So that's what we will use. And that's what, we will have the information that we need on which to base our 26-27 budget. Monica and I will probably maybe start before that, at least with preliminary work on our budget. But I don't know, that's about all I know for now. The only other word they have is that we're less than 6 months into our 24 budget cycle, but we need to be ready to adjust advocacy efforts to deal with any potential downturns as their session begins. So we're just kind of all on hold, but makes sense to me that they use the money from the stability fund to just bail out the people. People is just not that much money when you look at it compared to what they have in there. And it refills the lottery dollars with it, fill that up for the most part. So anyway, they were encouraging everybody to buy lottery tickets, so. And we get filled back up to the holidays, whatever.
Go gamble.
I know, but anyway, yeah, well, the question came up because of that, how long does it take to build that back up? Are they watching to use it because it takes forever? Well, it really doesn't, because it only started in 2002. And they've used it 9 times. I don't know how much they pulled out. They've used it 9 times and it's already back at its maximum amount. So it doesn't take very long to refill it. Is what I got out of that. So anyway, that was a conversation we had at our last meeting. Like I said, Coast is still lobbying hard. They would like us to fill that, and it can only be used for education. So give us the 180 million and let's fill this, and then keep working and looking forward what we can do in the future. Deal with a potential, probably likely budget shortfall. So anyway, that's that. That's all I had to report. And I have at least a meeting or 2 every week to kind of update on this, but there's not much to report at this point in time. Probably won't be until the next forecast. So our solid numbers. Very good. Yeah. That's that.
Yeah, little rumor floating around is they don't want to tap into that fund because they think the hole's gonna be worse next year, so.
That's why I said, because they're saving it for another forward step.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Good times.
But
Yeah.
if it's at it, when they'll start to, let it start rebuilding.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
That money's going somewhere.
Yeah, the rest of it goes somewhere, so if they don't tap it, the lottery dollars go somewhere else.
Well-
Let's go, so that's one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the other figure, actually, they're smart, they have, it was my notes, they have 3.something. $3.5 billion all total in the Ed Stability Fund and the Rainy Day Fund. So that's only the one fund that they have, the Ed Stability Fund. It's only the one fund and it's just earmarked for K-12. So they have way more than enough in that, but they have other reserve money as well. So, anyway, that was the thing that we have talked about. I have all kind of notes on that, but, that's basically it.
Great news, thanks. 9 is executive session. We didn't have one scheduled this month. So we'll move on to 10, and that's board communication. Calendar events, is there any calendar events that stick out? Be highlighted? No? Nope. Good. Okay, next meeting, future agenda items, board meeting is January 12th at 6 p.m. Remember, January 8th would be the holiday party before that, so we have to set the budget calendar at that next meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah,
No.
but I've got it on.
You got ready to go? Of course you do. That's why we're lucky. Good, thank you.
Then you guys will need to reappoint Josie Tobias and at that meeting.
Yeah.
He says she's willing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And then we'll have the draft calendar for next school year.
And we already have those ready for you to do.
right? So one other bullet item that we'll have to add is we'll have to have a special meeting to meet with Hank Harris and Steve Webb on the executive search process. So I'll reach out to him on dates and then just do an email. Right. I can email all 5 or 4 board members in an email that legal, or do it, you do it one by one? I've been doing it one by one, just so. Technically, it's a
Yeah.
communication.
It is
world.
communication.
So. If you sent it out, that would be okay.
If I sent it out, that might be all right.
Okay, so
Mhm.
I'll,
Because you're just asking dates.
Yes.
I'll forward that information to you and then we'll communicate through that way. So we're up and up.
We've come close at some games after, 3 of us standing after they tell Scott, you gotta go.
Yeah. Okay. There
Yeah.
anything else? for
I
the
think,
next
I think
meeting?
once you decide, we just need to give 24 hours notice for the special meeting to
Correct.
post it. So.
Yeah, he was thinking just, rough, I'd have to look back in the notes, but he was kind of thinking that first week. 2 weeks of January, because that's when they really want to get going on the search. He says they've got a pretty strong pool, they think, so that's good. They just want to try to match it up and then you saw the process, it's pretty extensive, so they want to get going. Because if you look at that timeline, it is quick. I mean, by April, they're ready, they're done. So. Pretty intense. All right. With that, I have nothing else. Anything else, board members, administration? All right, that will adjourn. Thank you. 7:13.
Yeah.
7:13. That's, I just realized 7:13. Not 8:13.
You better start again, man. We must have left the page on.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with all that time.
Holy smokes. I don't know how you even know so it's all really play with them.
Speaking of which, are we gonna have to do anything to the before or?
Yeah. Sounds like. Yeah, down to me, Florida. It looks